We've got our legal analyst, Brian Buckmeyer, following the case. Brian, thanks so much for joining us. Lindsay Clancy's ex-husband back on the stand today. What more are we learning from him?
Yeah, and what we heard from this testimony from Patrick Clancy was gut-wrenching 911 call. Now, I can't say we actually heard it because the judge agreed for the audience not to hear it, but we did hear a little color of the court hearing that people in the jury were crying. Even the defendant, Lindsay Clancy herself, crying as well. The focus on his testimony that ended today was about what he saw when he got to the home, the condition that Lindsay was in, how he saw his 3 children in a very gruesome way, and then of course his 911 call, his response to law enforcement about what he saw that first time. Now, he wasn't cross-examined, which isn't too peculiar because I imagine the defense will call him as their own witness and they'll dive into a lot more there. Following that, we heard other witnesses like a CVS employee and others who can talk to us about what they saw Patrick was doing when he was outside the home, his reactions to learning he had to rush back home, as well as some of the interactions with Lindsay, whether or not she seemed normal or off, or any kind of clues they can get to the defense of there being postpartum psychosis.
Yeah, Brian, we're seeing a lot of searches today where people are looking up the exact medications that Lindsay was prescribed prior to murdering her 3 children. How could that actually impact the case? What do we know about those?
So it's a big thing, and I'm going to apologize in advance. You probably should have gone to the doctor if you wanted the actual names for some of this medication. But we've got a few. There's Klonopin, there's Prozac, there's Valium, there's Zoloft. There's a number of them that I can't pronounce, but you see them there on the screen, over a dozen of them. And the way that it's impacting this case is, don't forget, the argument here is not that Lindsay didn't kill her children, but instead that she lacked criminal intent, or as other states call it, the insanity defense. And so this helps the jury understand and the defense argue that she was trying to get help, that she was prescribed various medication. She didn't take some, as the prosecution is arguing, and that's their argument to say, well, she avoided this, she's planning this is premeditated. But I think the way that it's going to impact this jury is when we get a medical professional, especially on the stand, they're going to evaluate what care she was receiving, what care she actually took, and whether or not this is premeditation or a woman in the thralls of postpartum psychosis, not getting the proper medication she needs, leading to a very tragic end.
Yeah, do you think Lindsay will actually take the stand in this case, Brian?
So first and foremost, it is her constitutional right not to testify, and if she doesn't, the jury has the ability not to hold it against her. But in my professional opinion, I don't think she'll take the stand. This is why I say that. If your defense is that you were lacking criminal intent, you were insane, as many states call it, what are you going to say? You can't go up there and articulate what was going through your mind at that time because, according to her defense, she was not probably prescribed medication. She was in the thralls of this postpartum psychosis. She can't articulate fully what a jury would need. I think the smartest thing for her to do is allow her attorney to argue that she was going through the psychosis. She couldn't understand what she was going at that time, and that's why the defense worked so well for her. I don't think we'll see her on the stand.
Yeah, Brian, before I let you go, I got to put you in the driver's seat. You're a defense attorney yourself. What kind of strategy would you take if you're representing Lindsay Clancy in this?
I think first and foremost, it's about picking the right jury. I can tell you myself personally, I have one son, and not to go a little too deep, but we're also trying for a second, and we've had some trouble, miscarriages, IVF, things like that. I want husbands and wives who understand the difficulty of having children. I want them to understand the difficulty of postpartum and give her a little bit of grace. Along with the scientific information and the argument for postpartum psychosis, those are the people that I think are going to be most lenient towards her defense, understanding not only what she did to her children, but what she did to herself. Because at the end of the day, this is not about being not guilty that she didn't commit these actions. It's about being not guilty because of what happened to her during that birthing stage and after giving birth to these 3 kids. Someone who understands that and can sympathize for that, even though the court doesn't want us to do that, is going to probably be the best for the defense here.
That insight is fantastic. Thank you so much for that perspective, Brian. Appreciate you, man.